RiME was released May 26th of 2017 for a $30 price point. Developed by Tequila Works, published by Greybox, it's a indie adventure platforming game. A land of discovery stretches out before you. Explore the beautiful yet rugged world of RiME, a single-player puzzle adventure. In RiME, you play as a young boy who has awakened on a mysterious island after a torrential storm. You see wild animals, long-forgotten ruins, and massive towers that beckon you to come on closer. Armed with your wits and your will to overcome, and the guidance of a helpful fox, you must explore the enigmatic island, reach the tower's peak, and unlock its closely guarded secrets. Monica, what'd you think about RiME? What were your expectations loading this game up?
So I spent probably 30 minutes of my life looking for this other game that I played about a year and a half ago. That this just reminded me so much of, except you were a little girl and you were trying to help your sick brother, and you had to go on these boats to these different areas in this island. It kind of just reminded me of that. It also reminded me a little bit of The Last Guardian, which I played, and which made me just rage like crazy. So my expectation going into this was like, man, I really hope that I think just because of the post-traumatic stress that I had from The Last Guardian and trying to get the little dog thing that you guide along in that game to listen to you, I was like, I really hope that I don't have to like control this fox or anything like that. I don't know what kind of expectations I really had, but they weren't like great ones. I was going into it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like I was just going into it.
Yeah, just prepared to be excited type, like, okay, here's the game, let's play it. I'm kind of the same with you. This game really reminded me about a lot of other games where you're looking at it. I know a lot of other people, like in the reviews and stuff, they all kind of bring up like Ico, like The Last Guardian, like you talked about. So there was definitely like hints of all that from the screenshots and videos I saw. But I thought all those...
It's an explorer game, though. So like, I feel like people just pulled like the explorer games that they
do.
played.
Like I don't want to hold that as a negative, but I do know I like exploring games. So I was pretty like, all right, I'm ready for this game. This seems interesting. So jumping into RiME, what were some of the things that you were liking about the game? What did it have going on for it?
So I am going to save my favorite for last.
Okay. My
favorite thing for last, unless you hit it and then before me. But so I guess I'll just go into the puzzles.
Yep.
There are a lot of puzzles that go along with this exploration game. You have to do a lot of solving. And at some points, the puzzles are relatively difficult. Keep in mind, I have not finished the game fully.
Okay.
So I need to say that right off the bat. But some of the puzzles are not super complicated. In fact, some of them are so easy that you almost feel like you should have just let me walk through that door, because picking something up 5 feet in front of it and then jamming it into the hole that looks exactly like the thing that you picked up 5 feet in front of it is not much of a puzzle, and I don't know why I really had to do that. So I was almost trending towards saying that the puzzles were too easy, but I did like certain elements of it. There are a few different types of puzzles in the game. I think when you're dealing with like an enemy, it makes it a lot more interesting. When in regards, I wouldn't even know if you'd call dealing with the enemies puzzles, but you definitely have to. Would you consider that a puzzle?
Dealing with the enemies?
When you're
yes, because sometimes they use the enemies to block a path off, or like making you work your way through a certain grouping of them. So yeah, I would say that. Okay,
so I liked that. I felt like that there was some diversity within the puzzles. So I think overall I enjoyed them. I didn't think that anything brand spanking new was being brought to the table with them from what I experienced. But I like that addition. And I also started to realize that those really simple puzzles that I was somewhat frustrated with initially do keep the game going, in a sense that you feel like you're always doing something.
Yeah.
So this game does a good job of having you always do something.
Right. I would say, like, jumping in on the puzzles, I thought the puzzles were pretty solid. There are a few of them, especially in the beginning, that felt like kind of like they were just giving you something to do. They're just gatekeeping for no reason. They're very easy to solve, easy to figure out. There are a few though in there that like really had me thinking and like, like what the hell? Like why can't I figure this out? Like I'm a smart adult individual. I don't know why this isn't happening. I think my favorite puzzles, and I haven't played too many like adventure puzzle solving games, so this mechanic might be another one, but like the use of your shadow and being able to change like the time of the day so that the shadow your shadow changes on a wall, that is part of the puzzle, and lining up your shadow correctly like solves the puzzle. That type of stuff like really surprised me, and I was like, oh, like aha moment, like that's really cool. I don't know if that's in other games. If it is, you know, they're kind of just pulling on what other games did well. If it isn't, kudos to this development team. Like that was awesome. I know when I was streaming it, one of our viewers, Lyricy, was telling me there's a game called Contrast that really does that, but I've never checked it out, so I can't necessarily compare the two.
Contrast does do that, but it's similar, but not. This game just doesn't feel anything like Contrast.
Okay.
So I didn't even think of that until you said that.
Sure.
Right now.
What's something else that that you liked about this game?
So I enjoyed the cutscenes a lot. I thought that in a lot of them you like kind of get pulled around. I don't know how to explain this too well, so if you feel like jumping in, please by all means. But a lot of the ways that you move through this game is by like almost unlocking this like magic or these spirits.
Yeah.
That will then flow into unlocking a door or whatnot.
Yeah, they're like spiritual keys.
Yeah, and you basically, in regards to the cutscenes, they're always very, to me, they seemed flowy, similar to the spirits flowing around. I thought they did a really, really good job with them. I wanted more, and I wanted them to be a little bit longer, but from what I saw, I enjoyed them. I felt like they were a nice present as I was moving along in the game. Yeah,
the cutscenes definitely were some of the better storytelling elements of the game. I think my second thing I really liked about the game is just how the game like told the story at the end and how everything kind of came together and like tied it up. And I don't want to go into spoilers, but this game did a very nice job of making your entire journey through the game meaningful at the end of it.
Okay.
And like it's like moving, it's gripping. You get like somewhat emotional depending on how like how tough you are on the inside, like how much you can deal with it. So they do a very good job at the end of the game pulling the story together and really like making it feel like you didn't waste any time. Like this game was worth playing through, and like that's a very hard thing to do, not just in video gaming but any kind of storytelling, like books, movies. Like that's a very hard thing to pull off, and Tequila Works definitely nailed it. So nothing but praise to them for being able to like tie the bow on this knot, you know what I mean?
Right.
What else?
I assume that we're going to be on the same page here. If not, I may fight you with the music.
This motherfucking music.
This music is some of the best music I have heard in a game
ever.
In a long time.
Ever.
It was just gorgeous. It was amazing. And it really makes you feel like the music gives this atmosphere that I almost feel like other elements of the game lacked.
Yeah.
It filled in the gaps. Without the music, this game would be something completely different.
Sure.
It really impressed me. There were moments where I was playing and I would just get goosebumps because of the expansiveness of the map that I was currently looking at. Plus the music, it's just like my body couldn't control it.
It definitely fit it. It made like the soundtrack made everything you're doing inside of the game just feel epic. And like they had the way they did their sound triggers in the programming to where you're coming up over like certain puzzles and obstacles that like it hits a new like crescendo, and like the music is just so loud and like orchestrate. Like I was blown away. by this music. I was not expecting it at all. Like, I would listen to that soundtrack outside of that game any day. That is definitely some like work music to put on, and like it will make your work life feel like it has meaning, you know? Like, it is a wonderful soundtrack.
As you're writing some business email, you're like, I am the master of the universe of business email.
Yes.
Yeah, I can see it.
Like, I'm going to buy the original soundtrack for this game because I just want it with me in the cloud wherever I go. It's a solid soundtrack. And I think that's kind of all the things I liked about the game on like a surface levels. Like, the art was very beautiful in this game. The colors were great. But like, you know, they are kind of like pulling from other games on that. Anything else you liked from this game?
Oh, let's just go ahead and jump into the art. I felt that the music was so powerful and the art left something to be desired for me personally.
Mm-hmm.
I felt that the music was almost too overwhelming for the art style. No complaints against the music. I don't think that they should have had horror music. I think they should have just stepped it up a little bit with the art style.
Yeah.
I know that that's probably a very controversial opinion because a lot of people, from when I was just like, man, I was not liking it.
Yeah.
And so I was reading some reviews and people were just praising it and they really liked it. So it's definitely a matter of opinion.
I feel confrontational.
At times, yeah, I do you?
Yes.
That's fine. I'll fight you. At times it worked. There are elements, like there are scenes where you're running across these really long bridges, or you can see, like, I think specifically during the nighttime, which you see less, so it's darker. It worked for me. But there was just things with the ocean during the daytime. Mm-hmm. It just looked flat. At night, it kind of came alive, and I'm like, what is going on? This is weird. Yeah. You know, I wasn't in love with it. Sure. Also, the main character, I don't know. He just, his art style, it just reminded me of just so many games that are already in existence, and I wanted something different. I wanted something more. Yeah. I think, like, I can kind of pull on the art for something I disliked about the game. I don't dislike the style. It is a very flat, cel-shaded look. It's pulling on some very strong, saturated primary colors. My biggest problem with it as an art piece is that it's pulling too much from other games. This feels like I'm playing Zelda, the Wind Walker or whatever. Like, that's what it looks like. It looks like they boosted that art style off the game and kind of added their own take on it, but not enough to make it unique. It definitely felt like I was playing other games. And I think that rolls into another big dislike for me as a game, is that this game just as a whole is pulling on other elements from games. All the acrobatics in this game felt like the new rebooted Tomb Raider. The way you're shuffling around shelves, climbing up on them, jumping back and forth, to the way they mark, the way the cliffs look, like that is Tomb Raider. That felt like the way they marked the cliffs did feel like that, but I also feel like so many games, well, they specifically in Tomb Raider do use that white platform. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But the other dynamics of the game, I mean, so many games use these elements now. I mean, if you want to go that far, you could just say Prince of Persia. You know what I mean? Sure. Like, I can't diss it for I personally can't diss it for using some of these dynamics that so many games before have had.
All right, what's something else you liked or disliked about this game?
Okay, I guess we'll go into like my more finicky one, because you know how I get about these games. I did not like his knobby ass little knees and the way he ran. He's got these twig-like legs. It gave me flashbacks to my youth, where my knees were like 2 times wide as my bone. As my leg bones. And you know, the thing is here, like when he runs, he just like, I don't know, maybe I run like that. I probably do, and that's embarrassing. I didn't like the way he ran when he was running down hills. It looked like he was like high stepping, and I'm just like, what are you doing, little kid? Why are you high stepping down this hill? That's weird. You should be way more careful. And you don't even have hiking boots on, so what is this?
I think you're the only reviewer to put in like self-hate. Like, I hate my knees. I hate this game's knees. Like, what the hell, dude? trying to be objective, all right?
I just looked at his knobby little knees and I said, no, thank you.
No, thank you to knobby knees. Oh, man. God damn it. I mean, I guess the next thing I dislike about this game has nothing to do with the way the characters looked. I think that the way the story unfolded in the beginning and the second act of this game was way too slow. I was kind of confused about why and what we were doing in the game, and like what was our purpose for having knobby knees on this fucking island where no one else is there. You're not really introduced into any enemies until probably the second act. There's no enemies in the first act of this game, and it's just like the story is so slow. They don't give you any backstory besides that you like woke up on this island. And then you see these little like keyhole picture frames that tell you like scene by scene. They don't make sense. And like really at the end of the game, once everything's like kind of told to you and you know what's going on, looking back you're like, oh, that's kind of cool, but some of the stuff still doesn't make sense. So I wish this game did a better job at like telling you what's going on, what you're experiencing as a player and a character while you're doing it, and like that's a harder mechanic to pull off, but it's much more meaningful, and I really wish they would have done that, because until like the third act and really almost the end of the third act, I just had no idea. I was like, okay, like you're following around this like pitch black character wearing a red robe for literally the entire game until probably the last 15 minutes, and then it's explained to you, and it's just I was lost. I don't know why they did that, and it makes sense once you find out who that character is, but like it would have been a better game if you would have found out earlier, and they would have used different storytelling mechanics to get you to that point.
Right. So I did not finish the story, and I was very hesitant to list this on my things of dislikes. But I was very glad to hear that you said that the end is a possible tearjerker, that they wrap it all up, that they do a good job of explaining everything, because if they didn't and I do plan on finishing this game, but if they did not do that, this story was not riveting, or quite to me it was just almost non-existent. I felt like I was almost in a weird bad dream, but with like a really beautiful surroundings. You know those dreams where you can fly for really long periods of time, and then like everything's perfect, and then you suddenly stop learning you don't know how to fly anymore, and you start falling and whatever. That's kind of what my experience with this game was.
I've never had that dream.
What? You've never had that?
No.
Oh my gosh.
I'm a mammal. I don't dream like that, all right? My dreams are very realistic.
You've outed me. I am an alien. So I knew that the visuals that you saw, the artwork that you ran into that would glow or move, like I knew that those things mattered, but I didn't know why. Yeah. And I didn't know if I cared. And the only thing that kept me going was pure stubbornness, and the desire to beat this environment. Yeah. Because I like exploration games. I really like exploration games. So I felt that desire, but I wasn't wrapped up into the story. And it sounds like in order to be totally wrapped up into the story, you have to finish the game.
Yeah, and like I sometimes wonder, doing this podcast and playing these games, like would I be playing these games as long as I do if I wasn't doing it to review it? And like this game definitely is probably one of the ones that would have fell into the category where I would have just stopped playing, because while I was having fun, I can go have fun in other games. Like I want a good story to push me through a game, and this one that just wasn't giving it up. And you were talking about all the things you picked up and like the collectibles, and that's my last big issue I have with this game, is that the collectibles in this game are just kind of without meaning. Even when you find out their importance in the story at the end, playing the game, everything you collect just has zero meaning to your character. There is like zero character progression in this game. Maybe I was thinking about it because this game really looked like recent and modern Zelda games, But the character you start out with is the character you're playing throughout the entire game. You get no new abilities, you get no weapons or like objects that you bring along with you to help solve puzzles. You are just this kid, and I think the intro said it's like your wits versus this island. That's basically it. Like, it's your wits. And that's kind of a negative for me in an exploration game, one where you're playing it. You know, this is about I would say a 6 to 8 hour game, depending on how fast you blow through elements of it. And you're just playing the same character, I don't think is cool. I think it only adds to how well the game is received when you add in character progression, because you start to take ownership of the character once you start doing that. And in this game, I never really felt like I was this kid. I felt like I was controlling this kid in the world.
Yep. Agreed.
So, anything else you disliked about RiME?
Nope, those are my 3.
All right. Final thoughts. Where are you going with this one?
So, as someone that enjoys the genre of games, I was a little bit let down. I've played games that were controversial, that, you know, had mixed reviews and enjoyed them, and I haven't finished it. So, you know, it sounds like the end is really good, but just from where I stand right now, I'm giving it a thumbs down, only because if you have to finish a game in order to appreciate it, then I'm not gonna be able to tell people to force themselves to enjoy it until the finale. So I guess another thing is it's hard for me to give it the thumbs down, because the music is so good. There are certain elements of this game that are really, really, really beautiful. But I am a thumbs down on this one.
All right. For me, I'm gonna go ahead and give it a thumbs up. It is a $30 game, so it is kind of like hesitant to give anything a thumbs up. Like, you really want to make sure that, like, I like this game to give it a recommendation. And maybe it is because of how moved I was at the end of it. Maybe I'm biased on that now. That's why I'm giving it a thumbs up. I enjoyed my experience playing this game. I don't feel like I got taken for my money. I enjoyed the puzzles. I enjoyed the music massively, and the story really pulled me as a person, like, who deals with that type of stuff every now and again. So I definitely have to give a thumbs up to RiME. Thumbs up, thumbs down for RiME from the Backspace Nomads. Released May 26th. You can find it on Steam for $29.99. Developed by Tequila Works and Q-Lock. Published by Gray Box